A parliamentary inquiry in Australia is investigating the long-term health implications of repeated head knocks in contact sport. Former Aussie rules football players who say they suffered concussions are seeking up to $670 million in a landmark legal action. Sarah Clark reports from Brisbane.
It was this performance back in 1995 which earned Sean Smith the Mark of the Century title in the Australian Football League. He was well known for his technique on the field, but nearly 30 years later he says it was the repetitive head knocks and concussion that's left him permanently disabled from brain injuries inflicted during his career.
Even I've been knocked out, carried off on a stretcher and come back on after half time, which is not right. And it's really affected me. In my 40s I sort of saw some really bad changes in my behaviour, and it's not a good injury to have.
3 years ago, the veteran player received an historic insurance payout of almost $1 million, acknowledging the permanent damage caused by repetitive concussions. Now, more than 60 former players in Australia are seeking up to $670 million in damages in a landmark class action against the AFL for the serious damage concussion has allegedly caused them long term.
Why people actually have resorted to legal action is because there just hasn't been the momentum and change that is needed to make the game safe.
The minimum absence for a player diagnosed with concussion is now 12 days in the Australian Football League. In the National Rugby League, there's a mandatory 11-day stand-down period for concussed players. Neurophysiologist Alan Pearce, who studied concussion in sport for more than 15 years, says players need at least 1 month off the field, and the risk of cognitive impairment increases significantly after 3 concussions. The class action being pursued here in Australia is also being played out in other countries. In Ireland, 3 rugby union players are suing World Rugby, and in the United States there was a $750 million payout to retired players a decade ago. Players going to court say the risk of suffering a head injury should no longer be an accepted hazard of the job. The Australian Football League was approached for comment. Sarah Clark, Al Jazeera, Brisbane.